So welcome. I'm here today for a short interview with Janet Kessenich of Spiral Energies. So welcome, Janet.
Thank you, Janet. Another Janet. Unusual names here. I'm really pleased to be here, and I appreciate your inviting me to be on the show.
That's great. Well, we're really happy to have you here with Personal Growth Network. I'm wondering how you first started Spiral Energies. Tell us where that name came from.
Oh, that's a good story. I love the symbol of a spiral, and I love the symbolism of a spiral, kind of starting on the outside, coming into the center to the core. I think with my healing practice and my clients, also with workshop participants, we start on the edges of things and we come into the middle, into the center, into the core, into the essence. And we heal and transform and shift whatever is going on through various energies and energy modalities. And then we gradually make ourselves around the spiral back out into the world to bring ourselves in this transformed state to be of more help and service, to be more connected with ourselves, and to be able to be more effective on the planet and in our lives. So it's the shape of the spiral that tracks the path for us. And sometimes we start on the inside and come out, and outside and come in. So that's where it came from.
I love that analogy. That's just beautiful and so important for us to remember that we have to bring our work back out to the world. I think a lot of people do the work on their inner selves, but we have to take it back out to the marketplace, as my teacher would say.
Oh, that's a good phrase. And I think it's also true, though, that even if we're not consciously taking it back out, our shift affects everything around us. Don't you think that sort of ripple effect? And so that is going to happen automatically. One of us in the household does some work, it's going to influence the others in our family, even in our community. It can have a vibrational effect. However, doing it consciously and being more present to people, kinder to people, even the bank teller or the person that's pumping your gas, that is a ramification that is important for us also in our spiritual work and our personal growth, our paths.
Exactly. That's so true. So tell me a little bit about how you got into this field to begin with.
Well, it was kind of a surprise actually to myself. My master's degree is in piano. It's in music, piano performance, and I taught piano. I taught something called eurythmics, which I used to playfully call a holistic way of learning about music and rhythm and musicality, not knowing that eventually I would transition into a holistic healing modality someday. And that was my life passion. I was a musician for life. That was what I expected I would be doing. And at a certain point, about 20 years ago, I found that my passion and interest in music actually shifted, and I was no longer interested in being a musician. And I became interested in energy healing work because I was a client with an acupuncturist who was helping me with some pain in my foot. But she and I were also talking about spirituality and our life directions. And it was the conversation, I think, that got me very intrigued in helping people in the way that she had helped me. But I wasn't interested in becoming an acupuncturist. And at one point she said, well, you could study Reiki, you know, it's very similar in its effect, but one can learn it very quickly. And I had a great appeal to that. It resonated with something from my childhood around spiritual healing. And so I began investigating that work, kind of purposefully left music behind. I was done with music until a few years into my energy practice, where I was using Reiki and a deep chakra clearing energy work. And someone introduced me to using tuning forks and Tibetan singing bowls and drums and rattles. And I was in the mood for a new modality. I went to a training. It was very convenient to my house at that time. And within a few minutes of being at this training on using tuning forks and sound and vibration in a healing process, I felt myself go into alignment with the work. And I realized suddenly that I was going to be back in music in a certain way, but at the essence level, because vibration is the essence level of music. Music is all of those vibrations organized into harmonies and chords and melodies and tunes. The essence of all of that is vibration. And there was a parallel with my sense of wanting to help myself and all of us get to our essence. And so here I'm using the essence of music to get to our spiritual highest self essence. And it was a good match. So that's where I've been working with music and in the essence vibrational level ever since.
Oh, I love that. And so one of your upcoming programs with PGN is called Tune Up Your Spirit. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. As I transitioned from my musical work into working with clients on a more spiritual and personal growth basis and leading workshops that were about our spiritual lives within our regular lives and how to integrate that and have that be more prominent, I found myself telling stories about things I had learned in music and how there was a correspondence from those stories that had led to a spiritual understanding for me, a spiritual lesson for me. So I wrote a book called Music Lessons for the Spirit, and it catalogs and lists and shares these various music lessons that have a spiritual component to them. And I'm now teaching from those, and the umbrella topic is Tune Up Your Spirit. The workshop that will be on Monday, September 23rd at Rolling Ridge Retreat Center in Andover is Tune Up Your Spirit, using lessons from music to harmonize your life. So I will be pulling from my book and from my experiences some of those lessons that have a relationship from music into our lives. For example, if we think about music and our favorite parts about the music, it'll probably be I love the tune to a song, or the lyrics matched, my feelings when I was falling in love, or whatever it might be. But seldom would you say, what I really love about the music is the rests in the music. Nobody thinks about the rests, right? And yet without the rests, music's kind of a run-on sentence, and it ends up with a breathless quality to it. Well, similarly in our lives, we don't think about rest a whole lot other than like crashing at the end of the day or falling into bed at night. We kind of run on fumes a little bit too much. So the personal life lesson is music needs rests, so do our lives. We need pauses and breath and cadence. So we'll be exploring that kind of thing and other musical lessons when we meet for that retreat in September.
Okay, that sounds great. And the other one program that you have coming up is Autumnal Equinox, and it's a ritual, and I love rituals. So tell me more about that.
Well, for many years, I have been leading seasonal rituals. So at each of the quarter turns of the year, I lead a ritual at the Theosophical Society Center for Spiritual Studies in Arlington Center. And we meet and I think it's so important because our culture is not aligned with the seasonal changes and seasonal moments. After July 4th, if you go in the store and try to find a bathing suit, forget about it. It's all back to school clothes. And before the Halloween candy is gone from CVS, there's going to be red and green Christmas ornaments and candy bags out there. It's very hard to stay grounded in where we actually are in connection with the planet and our home here. So meeting on the equinox, meeting on the solstices helps us reground with where we actually are in the sun cycle and in the earthly cycle. And so we meet, we discuss these elements, we have ritual to help us recalibrate for this is the end of summer. What's the sadness around that? What are you eager to look into for the fall? I always use sound healing also for the group and for individuals, and help literally to tune our vibration for that transition into the next season. It's very powerful. And it's a lovely, simple ritual. I'd love for you to join us sometime.
Oh, thank you. It sounds really, really wonderful. It's funny, our newsletter this month is going to be about transitions because I find the transition from summer to fall so challenging for me because I love summer so much. I know a lot of other people love the fall, but for me, it's a challenge.
Yes, it was interesting. I led a ritual, or I was part of a workshop about the season change once from winter to spring. And of course, 95% of the people in the room were just thrilled to let winter go and move into spring, because that's just common for many of us. There was one woman in the group who said, you know, I appreciate where you all are, but I love winter. I love the coziness. I love the snow days. I love the, and it's absolutely true. There are wonderful aspects to each season, but we might have certain leanings and certain resistances towards that seasonal change and transition. And transition is very ungrounding for us. So it's important to stay grounded as best we can and acknowledge our resistance, acknowledge our eagerness, and recalibrate with that.
Right. That's great. That's great. I'd love to be able to join you.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, if you had one message for the world, what would it be?
This word essence I keep using, and I think that is my core message. It's taken me a lifetime to really know and understand and believe that I am essence, that I am spirit and divine, because it's easier to believe that of everybody else than it is of myself. We are essence, and that is the highest vibrational level of ourselves. We all have it, and it comes packaged with full worthiness. And if we could all reconnect with the worthiness of our essence self, it would change so much. What gets contaminated, I think, around that essence is some of our human form challenges and vibrational impacts and the dramatic level and intensity of our society. And it's very clear that we can easily lose touch with our essence. We can look at some of the awful things that happen in the world, and my only explanation is that person is really not at all connected with their essence self. But I still believe that the essence self is there, and it's in full worthiness, it's in full love. And as we all reach into that place within ourselves and keep confirming the connection there, we won't be a hierarchical bully on the block. I've got to be better than you are. We just will all be showing up in our settled highest self. And I think I think it's important for us each to know that. I think it's what we're here to discover, is to remember that we are essence. It's not that we recapture that, it's to remember what's already there and reconnect with it. That's my message.
That's beautiful. And I totally agree. My work is all about taking people inside themselves to discover that essence as well. And we have lost it. And remembering that is key. So thank you very much for all your work in the world. It's wonderful. And we're happy to have you here at PGN.
I'm so pleased to be part of this PGN community. Really right in alignment.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Janet. I appreciate the time. Take care.